This is my first time in your physical presence, but you have been with me through many times, and through a whole range of emotions, the whole scale. My questions today are about sex and death. Which
Next.
Which have been topics that my whole life has been about. And the questions that I'm wrestling with right now, there are basically three of them. The first is, where is the soul? Where is consciousness? Where is beingness in a body that is unconscious, on morphine, or brain dead? What does it do for 15 years in the case of a Terry Schiavo? Where is deliberate creation or art of allowing in that process?
When you come forth into this physical body, the consciousness that is really you extends itself forward into this focused environment. And you've been hearing us wanting you to acknowledge the existence of that inner part of you and to feel for the vibe of it, so to speak, so that you can feel the full connection of it. When you experience what you call death, we call it croaking. We like to be as disrespectful as we can be because there is no such thing as death. You are eternal beings. But when you withdraw your consciousness from this physical focus, your consciousness reemerges back into the fullness of who you really are. So in a situation like that, that consciousness has reemerged long ago. Now, that's not to say that cells don't have consciousness. In other words, of course they do. But the consciousness that is really you in that situation has reemerged back into pure positive energy. That woman made her transition many years ago. Yes.
How about the states of, shall we say, temporary unconsciousness, or when someone is on drugs?
Well, you have to understand, even when you sleep, your consciousness reemerges into non-physical, and when you awaken again, it's like a rebirthing, so to speak. And so that you have to begin to think of yourselves as this broader consciousness, but we always choose the way we project this deliberately because we want you to understand the power with which you wanted to be focused in these bodies. In other words, this focus that is your personality is a powerful focus because you are wanting this feeling of continuity. Imagine this leading edge environment where the variety of it summons through you clarity of desire. And when you identify something, then the energy that creates worlds flows through you. This is creative mastery, what's going on with you, you see. And when you are no longer focused in this physical body, you withdraw that consciousness. And in that death experience, there's not a moment's disassociation. There's not a moment's misunderstanding of who you are. You come into full consciousness of who you are. Jerry had an experience years ago where he was riding in the back of a pickup truck with some children, and their father was driving the truck. And their father said, "We're going down this mountain, and don't worry, I don't have any brakes on the truck, but it's been like that for a long time, and I just use my gears to slow down." And Jerry is thinking, this is not the best idea of things that I've ever done, but his own children are in the back of the truck, so apparently he knows what he's talking about. So, all right. And so Jerry and the children have flashlights. They're studying a Spanish lesson, and they are rolling down the highway, and now Jerry can hear this driver trying to get the truck geared down, and he can hear that it's not going in. Jerry can hear that he's trying. He can hear the gears grinding, but it's not happening. So he said to the children, "Well, it's been really fun, but this is it." And the truck rolled over. The man was wise enough that he turned it into the hillside rather than off the cliff, and the truck turned upside down and came down on top of them and knocked Jerry unconscious. And when he regained consciousness, he said, "Well, now I'm not worried about death." He said this in a gathering like this. "Now I'm not worried about death because I know that there's something, and then there's nothing." And we said, "No, that's not what death is like. Death is like something. So in other words, death is like super consciousness. Death is like coming back into the wholeness of who you really are. Death is like leaving behind all doubt and worry and fear, all that stuff down there on that end of the scale, all that stuff that is vibrationally not even close to who you really are. All that you leave behind.
So death really is an orgasm. No, really. I work with this.
Oh, it is better than that. But the thing you have to understand is, as you have spent time in your physical body, and you have worked your way up the emotional scale on a variety of topics. In other words, your mother who made you feel depressed, you've worked through it and now you're in love with her again. And not having enough money, which made you feel lost and forsaken, and you've worked your way up and now you're abundant. And so now you're in this place because you've been paying attention to your vibrations and you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You are in vibrational alignment with who you are. You're living happily ever after. You're living your vitality and your clarity. You're sure of yourself. You're feeling joy and love. You're clear-minded. You know what's going on. Your body feels good. You have energy. In other words, you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You are alive in the fullest sense of the word. And now, for whatever reason, you make your transition into non-physical. Sometimes it's a conscious decision, sometimes not. As you make that transition into non-physical, from that place of being in connection most of the time, the vibrational relativity would not be as great for you as if you were someone who had lived a long time in depression. You see, the way something feels to you is about its vibrational relevance to where you were before, you see. But everyone who makes their transition, without exception, experiences the relief of the release of resistance. And as you reemerge into that pure positive energy, knowing fully who you are, you never look back with a moment's regret. Sexuality, in its purest sense of the word, is not so different from full connection. In other words, when you are in alignment with who you are, the sexual energy and the spiritual energy, there is not any difference in it. But you can be experiencing sexuality just like you can be experiencing any other subject from the framework of resistance, and it's a whole other thing. The subject of sexuality is not in and of itself spirituality, but sexuality combined with your connection to who you are, now that's an orgasm.
Yes.
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 So are you understanding that you are the creator of your own experience? Do you want to be that?
Yes.
Have you come to the place yet where you are appreciating the contrast of your time and place? Do you think that you're approaching the place where you could say, there is something that I really, 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 really want that has not yet come into manifestation, and I'm all right with that? Because when you get there, you've got it. When you say, the idea of it is getting my juices flowing, and the fact that it has not yet manifested is not a problem to me, now you've got it. Because now you've shown yourself that you can align with the idea of something without it being present in your now. And now, your now can change. But when you say, I want this thing that I do not have, and I cannot be happy until I get it, now you're in deep doo-doo. Because it cannot come to you until you change your vibration, and you've already decided that you can't change your vibration until it comes to you. So, when you say, I'm going to find a way of feeling appreciation, or I'm going to find a way of feeling good, even though this thing I want has not yet come. Now, your future's full of it because you've been launching rockets about it. Source knows about it and is all queued up to give it to you. Circumstances and events have all been lined up, and now you've decided to get happy, and now you begin to close the gap between where you stand and it. So it works like this. Contrast produces a desire. You're not a consistent vibrational match to the desire. You turn your attention to the desire, and you work on familiarizing yourself with it. Instead of saying, I don't have this thing I want, you say, what would it be like to have this thing? You start filling it in your imagination. You start bringing things from your memory. You become a vibrational match to your desire by deliberately finding a way of thinking about what you want and feeling good. And as you do that, you come into alignment with your desire, and it manifests in your experience. And then guess what? You have another set of contrasting experiences which gives birth to yet another rocket of desire. And then the same process all over again. You must make peace with the incomplete nature of you. Because when you think about it, isn't incompletion and eternity the same word? In other words, if you are eternal beings, do you not have to continue to desire? And if you continue to desire, Source will continue to answer. And as you continue to come into alignment with that which you desire and stand in a new place, new contrast will then inspire more. So, now we want to talk about this because we want you to understand that when you get in sync with the idea of this eternal expanding you and the fact that you are never complete, that it is always evolving, then you can make peace with the incompletion of where you are, and then your now can be joyful even though there are things you think you needed to be happy that you don't yet have. You see how it all comes together? When you understand that you are an eternal being and that life is supposed to be good for you, and that source energy is on your side, and that everything that you ask for is being answered. And then you show yourself that just by trying, you can feel a little better about this and feel a little better about that. And then you begin to notice that manifestations begin to occur in response to that improved feeling, improved vibration. Then you can begin to announce to yourself that you are indeed a deliberate creator. And then you can come to understand that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. It is delicious to interact with those like you who are coming more and more in every day to understand who you are. It is our desire that you lighten up about this. We all make far too much of this. Really, we do. We want you to just be more playful. Look for humor in more things. Give more people the benefit of the doubt. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Make more lists of positive aspects. Make longer lists of things that you love about different situations and people. Tune yourself to the best things of your life. Begin to talk about the things in your life that you like most and keep those most active in your vibration. When you catch yourself talking about something that you don't want, just laugh and say, there I go again. I'm keeping something active that I don't mean to, and it's just an old habit. And little by little, I'm leaving that habit behind. And then tell everyone you know that life is getting better and better for you and that things are coming all around just the way they're supposed to. And when people ask you how you're doing, tell them that you're right on schedule, that you have this ongoing list of desires that are unfolding, and let them know that even though the list is not complete and that it never will be, that you are satisfied with things as they're coming. And as you begin to shine a spotlight on the things about your life that are working, you will begin to activate the vibration that matches who you really are. And as you activate the vibration that matches who you really are, you will be filled with clarity. You will be filled with stamina. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time. You'll find yourself rendezvousing with more things. More things will begin to line up for you. As Jerry and Esther checked into the RV park and the woman behind the desk said, we've put you on site 333. And Esther said, yes! And the woman looked at her like she was crazy. What's so special about site 333? The woman is wondering. And Esther is thinking to herself, 333-222-111-555-666. It all just means alignment to me. Anytime anything lines up, I celebrate that alignment. When I want something and it shows up, I celebrate that alignment. I am enjoying the conspiring universe that seems to be determined to give me everything I want, you see. That's the way it is for you. That's the way it is supposed to be for you. We are enjoying watching the evolution of your desire. And we want you to feel as good about your unfulfilled desires as we do. Because those unfulfilled desires are the promise of the future. Sometimes you live contrast and you launch rockets of desires that future generations will benefit from. This gathering is not about that, because that is inevitable. This gathering is about you benefiting from your rockets of desires. You're supposed to be in on this. You're supposed to get the fruits of your labors. There is great love here for you. And for now, we are complete.